Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make something called a printing plate. And I know what you're thinking, this looks like just a regular drawing to me, but it's not, because this isn't created on a piece of paper. This is actually drawn on a piece of foam, styrofoam. It might look familiar to you because it's kind of like the plates that you eat off of sometimes and cups that you drink out of. I'm also bending it a little bit so that you can see that I've drawn with an ink pen. And if you look closely, the ink pen has dented in the surface of the styrofoam, and that's our goal, our first goal anyway. Our second goal is to create a cityscape. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go and get yourself a piece of foam. Here's my brand new piece. And after you've got your foam, you also need to have an ink pen. You might want to test out your ink pen, make sure it works. To do your cityscape, you're going to have a foreground, the front, and a background. So to start, you're going to use a lot of horizontal and vertical lines. So I'm just going to begin on one end, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. And when I'm pressing into the foam, I'm pressing pretty firmly. And a vertical line, and it doesn't matter what kind of pattern of horizontal and vertical lines that you make. You can make some long horizontals, and you can make some short horizontals, and you can make some short horizontals, and you can make some long verticals. It is totally up to you because you are the artiste. But notice that as I'm going, I'm making sure my lines are vertical and horizontal. I don't have any diagonal lines. I'm trying hard. That one's a little diagonally, not to let my lines get too wavy. And I also am trying to have a variety because I don't want everything to be the same, because everything the same is boring. All right, I'm almost to the end, and once I've got that, that's the start of my skyline for my city. Now I can go back and have a little fun with it. I can use the elements of art like line and, of course, shape. And I can start to add some designs and some interest to my buildings. Let's get a little closer, shall we? I could add things that you would see on a building. Like, for example, that's right, windows. And as I'm going, I'm pressing pretty firmly. Your hand's going to start to get a little bit tired. It's a good thing you're tough. Maybe a little flag on top of this guy. If you want to, you could draw lightly on your building as I'm doing here. And then if you do that, you will have to go back over all of your lines and press a little harder. You're probably thinking, but why? Well, when we start printmaking, you'll find out why. But first, just trust me on this one and make your lines nice and deep. And as you're going along, try to think of some different things you can make for your buildings, again, to make them more interesting for some variety. Variety is actually not an element of art, but it's what's called a principle of art. If the elements of art are the ingredients in a recipe, then the principles of art are like the spices that you would add. It just makes everything even more awesome. Now I can start to divide my buildings up. Maybe this building has a door right there. And there you go. Now once you've gotten a bunch of really cool details on these buildings here, you can start to add the background. Now, because these buildings that I'm working on right here in the foreground are closer, they're going to have a lot more details that you'll be able to see. But the buildings in the background, you won't have to add as many details to. They're further away and you won't be able to see all those details. So to add space, which is an element of art, then add that background, but don't add so many details. So I think I'm going to take a break, and I think I'll draw in that background. You do it exactly the same as you did the foreground. You don't have to do the same pattern, of course. Remember, variety, but I am doing vertical and horizontal lines once again. Some are long, some are short, maybe a couple like that. I'm thinking of some buildings in downtown Nashville and what that skyline looks like, the tops of some buildings in downtown Franklin and what that skyline looks like also. So just going back and doing a similar idea, but with a different pattern of horizontal and vertical lines. And then when I do this background, like I said, I'm not going to do as many details, maybe not as many windows, maybe not line patterns. All of those things can be saved for the foreground. Once you've spent some time on this, you will have created a printing plate. You'll know you've got it when you touch that plate, you can feel the indentation of your lines. All right, guys, I'm excited to see what you make.